Good morning, everyone. Today is Saturday, August 22nd. This is week 12, day 4 of Juliett Evening and Weekend Platoon. Today, we're going to continue with our study of Django. Today, we're going to cover Django associations. I don't know if that's a good name or not for what we're going to study today, but I guess it's a fair enough name. It's just the relationship of different apps within your Django application. I know that it probably doesn't make a whole lot of sense right now, but hopefully it makes a little bit sense once we jump into the lesson. So let's get to it here. Can everyone see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, sweet. All right, Django associations, learning objectives. By the end of the lesson, you'll be able to create separate Django apps to maintain single responsibility architecture. Okay, this is kind of the crux to the entire lesson. And I'll give you the example that we're going to study here shortly. This idea that an application, your Django app, can have multiple apps, multiple mini apps is kind of what I mentioned Thursday. Let's see if we can describe that in a simpler form. For example, in this specific example, you are going to have a Pokemon app that is responsible. Its single responsibility will be to store Pokemon. Then within this Django app, you have Pokemon app that's responsible for storing all the Pokemon. Then you have something like Move app, which is responsible for storing all the moves of these Pokemon. Does that make sense? Yes? All righty. A little early, but I'm going to hit you with a question here. Your big Pokemon app now is built of two apps. It's built of Pokemon app that stores all the Pokemon. It also has Move app that stores all the moves of these Pokemon. We're not going to cover it here, but if you had to add another app to this application, what would it be? What's the obvious next one? You can store the Pokemon, you can store their moves. What's the next obvious app this application should have?
Battles, maybe?
No,
Defense?
it could be another type of move, right? Right? But Pokemon are held by I don't know how familiar you guys are with Pokemon. Who battles Pokemon? Trainers, right? Okay, maybe that was a bad question because you're not that
So a
familiar with
list of
Pokemon.
trainers then.
Yeah, you would have something like a trainer app that stores the trainers that hold these Pokemon, right? So that'd be like the obvious next one, right? And these Django apps can be comprised of a multitude of different apps. It just really just depends what your use case is. If it's a small application, number of apps is going to be small. But if it's a very large application, it could go up into the dozens of mini apps. Does that make sense? Okay. So this idea here is really not that different. It's something that we've learned about before. This creates separate Django apps to maintain single responsibility architecture. It kind of reminds you of what?
Containers?
A,
Not quite containers,
a database?
not quite a database. What principle in software engineering does this kind of remind you of?
OOP?
No?
Are you referring to functions?
Yeah. Oh, functions typically should have what?
Single responsibility?
Yeah, it should have a single responsibility. This is the same idea here, right? These apps should have a single responsibility. They store X or they store Y, right? But that's it, and you never mix them, right? The same idea applies in software engineering when you're writing functions. All functions should really have one single responsibility, right? You want to make all applications, all functionality modular. That's a key word here, modular. They have one responsibility. You should be able to plug and play them, right? And the whole concept behind that is one, reusability, and two, if something breaks, it's easy to find where it broke, fix it, and then it doesn't affect the rest of the application, right? You should be having, flashbacks to high school history when they taught you about Henry Ford and the assembly line, right? Yes? That's the whole concept here. All right, so Django associations create separate Django apps to maintain single responsibility architecture. Then we're going to define foreign key associations between the models, right? What kind of relationship do these models have? Do these apps have, right? If you had a trainer app, what is its relationship to the Pokemon app, to the Move
One
app?
of many.
Yeah, exactly, right? Because a Pokemon trainer can have many Pokemon, right? So that's what this second bullet point talks about, this foreign key association. Hey, what's the relationship between your apps? That's it. And then implement cross-app model imports and custom clean methods for validation. This is just saying, hey, how do we import Pokemon into the trainer class or whatever the use case may be, right? Just import those models so they can be used across your application, right? Which kind of directly correlates to whatever the relationship is, right? Like a Pokemon trainer having many Pokemon, right? All right, here's your starter code is again the Pokemon app. So let's look at the lesson. So far, we've created a Pokemon model in our Pokemon app for every Pokemon in a Pokedex. A Pokedex is just kind of like a glossary of Pokemon or an index of Pokemon. Now we need to create a moves model for the Pokemon. Just like in OOP, we want to try to keep the single responsibility principle with our apps, meaning that each app should do only one thing and do it well. Creating our moves app model. Let's create a move app and move model to interact with our Pokemon. So here you just create move app, right? And this is the thing that people always forget. You need to add it inside your settings.py file. Here, when I look at this, and I don't have to look at anything else, how many apps are within this application? If I just look here.
2.
Yeah, 2. You can tell right away you have the ones you've already inherited by just creating this Django project, right? These are all these. They just come with it, come with your library, right? But you can tell someone created the last 2, Pokemon app and Move app. If you have 3 apps or you have 4 apps, they're all going to go here, just in sequential order. I don't think the order matters, actually. But make sure to add them to your settings.py file. That way your overall app knows, hey, this is the number of apps that we're working with, and nothing gets messed up on imports or anything like that. So now you create the move model in move.models and add a couple validators. Here we're just adding this class, right? And with some validators that we covered on Thursday. You don't really need to focus too much on those, but we can mention the name here. Look at validators, validate move name. What can we tell so far about that validator? Is it built in or is it custom?
It's built. I mean, I'm sorry, it's custom. Somebody made that.
Yeah, it's custom. How can you tell?
It doesn't say like import from. It doesn't say Django core or whatever.
There we go. It doesn't say Django core. Look at that path right there. It tells you that someone wrote a file that you're importing from.
Can I ask
Go ahead.
I'm so sorry. Can I ask you a question real quick?
Go ahead.
Those, I think you went a little past it, but when you have all these imports in the top, in your app, are those things that people typically change depending on what they need in the packages, and they go through documentation and find those, or those are always the same when you're creating a Django app?
It's just whatever your use case is. Yeah,
Okay.
they can be different. Every file can be different. And you'll notice your VS Code would try to help you out. Like if something is like whited out and transparent, it says, hey, you're importing something that you're not actually using, to remove it. So they're always different. It just depends what you're using in that specific file. Obviously, don't import anything you're not using. And if you're using something that hasn't been imported properly, your VS Code will also tell you, because you'd be like, hey, this thing's not found. Why? Why is it not found? Not being imported. So it just depends what you need. That makes sense?
Thanks.
Mm-hmm. All righty. So this just creates this move model, right, with some custom and built-in validators. We see this and we learned this on Thursday. This is custom validators. These are built-in validators, and not more built-in validators. And these are just all the move functionality that this class will have, right? It's going to have a name, accuracy, max PP, PP power, stuff like that, right? And then here you have some built-in methods, right? You have an str method that just returns a specific string. This is really more for the developer than anything else. And then it has, right, some functionality there. Increase max PP and then clean, all right, to ensure a clean run against the model, right? This has to deal with just the Pokemon battling, right? This is power of their moves, right? So when we go to validators, right? I don't really think we need to really cover this, but we covered this on Thursday. But this idea of, hey, you created your own validator. This is effectively just checking what?
If the name is in the right like format.
Yeah, that's it. And whatever that format is, you're the one that wrote the validator, so whatever you want. Right? That's the only thing this is doing. Inside Move app, they created validator. Hey, we're going to validate the move name, just like we validated the name of the Pokemon. It has to follow certain constraints. What are those constraints? Whatever you want them to be. You're the one writing it. After you write this move, you can go ahead and make migrations and migrate. Then this next step goes into writing tests for both proper and improper input. I'll just touch on just one thing very briefly. What are the two paths you need to test when you write these tests for your application? What two paths do you need to test for sure? Mention this on Thursday.
Can you repeat the question, please?
Yeah, when you're writing tests, there's two specific paths you should always test. What are they?
If I remember correctly, the first one was, is there an instance of it? Has it been created?
No, you're
No?
overthinking it.
Is this the happy and sad thing you were talking about?
Yep, you test the happy path and the bad path, right? Which one makes it work? Which one makes it break? Test both. Now, obviously, testing is way more involved than that, but if you just remember that, that's a good place to start. Like I still remember that when I'm writing tests now. So this is really just tests that they write. But here's the bulk of the lesson here. We'll go into creating these specific associations. And this is exactly what we discussed earlier, right? This relationship, right? So let's look at it. As with database schema design, we can create relationships between our Django models to reflect certain requirements. Django provides some model fields to make achieving this task much simpler, right? They give you one-to-many field, the foreign key, many-to-one, and then the many-to-many. What data types are these? This is built-in functionality that's been given to you from Django, but these are just what? In their simplest forms, they're just what? Look at the end of those. What's this?
Not to overthink it, but a table field relation.
Yeah, but the parentheses tells you it's a what?
Oh, I don't know. I'm probably overthinking.
You're way overthinking. It's a function call. All right. So let's look at these associations, right? It's grabbing this object, this class, and it's running a what on it? And it's calling something, right? So under the hood, this is just running some logic to make sure that that is the relationship, right? It is a one-to-one relationship. So this is just a function call, right? And look at all of them. They're all function calls, right? Here's a question. It gives you this one-to-one field, this foreign key field, and this many-to-many field, right? Could you create your own? Could you go into your models and create your own? Like, let's say Django didn't give you the specific relationship you were looking for. Could you create it? The answer is yes, you could. Can you create your own validators? Yes. If the specific relationship, I think everything you need is included in this specific library. But if it wasn't, you could always add on to it. Remember, libraries are not going to have everything under the sun. If there's a specific unique thing you need, you're going to have to create it custom. And you can just add functionality to the existing data, to the existing library. You just import it just like you did your custom validators. So you're not limited by these backend frameworks, right? The backend frameworks already prepackage a lot of functionality, most of what you are going to need. But if you need something unique, you could always add to it. Because ultimately, these libraries are just code that someone prepackaged and wrote. You could easily write more code to go along with it, right? Super important idea right there, okay? All right, so these associations are just a relationship between your apps. That's it, right? What do you need? So let's look and take a look at how we can create a many-to-many relationship between Pokemon model and Move model. And why is this a many-to-many relationship between your Pokemon model and your Move model? Your Pokemon model saves Pokemon, right? Your Move model saves the attacks of these Pokemon. Why is it a many-to-many?
Because many Pokemon can have many moves.
That's it. Many Pokemon can have many moves. All right, so here under Pokemon app that is in charge of saving your Pokemon, all of them, right? You import move. You import this validation error, right? And then you give that Pokemon, right, models many to many, and you give it move. This effectively is a many to many relationship, right? You're using the built-in Django functionality and you're passing in move. What is move here? Because move is coming in as a parameter. What is move here?
Like another app or module?
Yeah. Move, let's go up. It's just a class and it's coming in as an object, right? So you're effectively passing this object to a class, right? So you can create instances of move. I know that's kind of a conceptually hard thing to understand, right? But this move that we wrote here, right? This part of your move app is passed in. Oh, sorry, I went too far. Here we go. It's passed in here. Right, which effectively makes it a many-to-many relationship. So that syntax, right? This syntax is actually pretty easy, but conceptually it's kind of hard to understand what's happening there, right? What I like to do in my VS Code is just pull both of the classes side by side when I'm importing one into the other. That way I know what's going in there. So in here, right, this is an entire class that's coming in here, right? And that links them as a many-to-many relationship. Because of what we just said, each Pokemon can have many moves, and each move can belong to many Pokemon. Right? Something like Karate Chop, I think is a Pokemon move, or Thunderbolt, right? Not only Pikachu can have Thunderbolt, right? A lot of electric Pokemon can have Thunderbolt, right? All right, this specific class also comes with a clean method, right? Let's ensure the clean method checks the Pokemon can only learn 4 moves. And let's look at that conditional check right there, right? Self referencing itself, PK primary key, and self moves count has to be greater than 4. If it is, right, run this validation error, right? Take a minute and actually read this right here. This is actually pretty important. What is this saying right here? Just in the simplest terms.
The join table can only point to Pokemon that has the primary key.
And it's already saved, right?
Yes.
So that's the key thing here. A Pokemon has to be saved before it can count its moves and do anything else with it. So keep that in mind. That's why this clean method is going to come up again. And that's probably slightly one of the things that's slightly more confusing in this lesson, but we'll go over it. And we'll do a couple examples after you guys get a little bit of time to play with it yourselves. Boom. All right, let's keep going. All right, so because of that guard, the workflow for the M2M validation, many-to-many, is save the instance first, add its moves, then run this full clean again to enforce that limit. Yesterday's validate before save pattern still applies to regular fields. Relationship just can't be checked until the row exists. And this is ultimately really just a database thing, right? It's a database constraint, right? So it's something you have to account for. So after you do that, you make migrations, you migrate. So now the many-to-many field will be reflected in the Postgres join table. All right, so let's look at it here. If you go into that specific shell, what's happening in this part right here? Let's walk through this code simply right here. We've already created a many-to-many relationship inside of Pokemon app, right? And then this in your shell, this is just outside of your project. And we're going to run through a little bit of code, right? You go into it. What's happening in the first 2 lines?
You're asking what's happening and what you have highlighted?
Yeah,
Yeah, you're importing.
yeah, I'm importing what?
You're importing Move from the Move app and then Pokemon from the Pokemon app.
Yeah, that's it. I'm just importing these two classes. All right. So now what's happening here?
Is that like, are we searching for that specific Pokemon at that level
Not
and
searching for it, but
defining it,
creating it. Yes.
creating it?
All right. So here we go. We have a Pokemon called, and the variable name here is just Charizard, but we're instantiating a class is what we're doing, right? We imported the Pokemon class, right? We're giving it the name Charizard. We're giving it the level 25, and we're saying, hey, this one is captured, right? If I wanted to check if I passed in the right arguments for creating this instance, where would I go look? I would just have to go to the Pokemon class, right? Let's scroll up and check. All right, so this is telling me, hey, it takes 3 arguments, name, level, and then maybe this is optional, maybe it isn't. I don't know. Let me look at the class because I forgot what it looked like. All right, let's go to Pokemon. So if I scroll up and I go to Pokemon, where is my Pokemon class? I have move. I have my tests. This is my models. It's not available in this lesson, but if you look at the code, it'll be in there, right? We can actually we can go do it now. Here we go. Let's look at it. Pokemon app. Where would this be? I can go look actually. Alrighty. It's right here. We'll go to Pokemon app, models, import Pokemon. And here's the code, right? It's in Pokemon app models, and I can tell because this just tells me, hey, go in there, look. Now I'm instantiating a Pokemon. It's taking these 3 values. I go look. It gives me a name, model. When I create that instance of the Pokemon, it's going to generate date encountered, but I actually don't have to pass that in, right? That's automatic. And then it takes that captured, right? It takes a Boolean. There's no default Boolean there, right? So you have to pass it in, right? What am I missing? Or am I missing this? Is this required to instantiate a class of Pokemon?
No,
Why not? That is right, Sue.
because this is about
It tells you right there on that first line.
yeah, so it's the default is unknown, so
Yeah, I don't have to pass it in, right? So the way that I instantiated a Pokemon, this is correct, right? I gave it the 3 values that it needed. Let's look at it. I gave it 3 values that is needed. Here I see 4 though. Let's walk through them. Name I gave, that's required. Level I gave. I actually didn't have to necessarily give it because it would have given me what default value? 1. You can see it right there, right? Date encountered is automatic because the minute that I instantiate, it gives me this date field, right? The Boolean I pass in, and then the description, yes, I can pass in a description, but if I don't, it's going to grab the default. So it's still going to instantiate properly. I now know that once I create that Pokemon, I have this functionality as well. So there you go. It's not in the lesson, but I knew that the way that it was written, just go look at the code base. right? It's in there. All right, so I create the Pokemon, right? I instantiate it, and what happens here?
It gets saved.
Saved where? Just to the
Save
database, right?
Charizard to
Yeah.
Pokemon.
Yeah,
it's
exactly.
saved, yeah.
Yeah, so we save it, right? So now we have this Pokemon that we created, this Charizard character, right? We've saved it, right? And now we can move here and we can create just this variable name called move1, right? We grab the move objects, right? And we try to get psychic, right? So this is going to go into that model, grab this specific move named psychic, right? And you can see the very next thing, I add it. I go Charizard moves, add move one. So I grab psychic, I effectively added it to the Charizard model, right? And here it saves it. Now, if I wanted to show it, it would look something like that. Could you get a more user-friendly string? Absolutely, but you would have to add that functionality into that specific model, right? And if you go back, right, you create something like this for it, right? So this little example here, what's this showing you? What's this trying to get at? This is meant to illustrate something for the learner, you guys. What is this trying to show you?
It's showing us how we put together databases and instantiation and saving a method to the databases.
Yeah, it's showing you how these classes interact, how these relationships interact, how these apps interact, right? We're effectively playing with two apps. Remember, we're playing with the Pokemon app, the one that stores the Pokemon, and then the Move app, the one that has all of the Pokemon's moves, right? And this is how you interact with them, right? And you effectively created a many-to-many relationships, and this is just how you test. Hey, is this working properly? Right? This is outside of the application, just in your shell. You can do it this way, just to test. Hey, this works. And this could easily be just like an index.py file that you're importing everything into and then just testing. Make sense? And ultimately, this is possible. All of this is possible because remember, everything is an object, right? These are objects, right? These are objects. And this move one and this Charizard one, right? They're just being passed to other objects and being saved and manipulated. That's it. All right. The foreign key, the many to one relationship. All right, this one's slightly harder to understand. Many to many isn't the relationship you'll reach most often. The honor goes to foreign key, which models a many to one. Many Pokemon can belong to one trainer, but each Pokemon has exactly one trainer. This is the same foreign key concept you built by hand in SQL, and you'll need it. You'll need it today for the school API 4. So let's add a trainer to our Pokemon app. Let's go to Pokemon app models, and now we're going to add this trainer class. We're going to add it here. Name models Charfield max length 250, right? Pokemon class, we're going to add trainer models foreign key trainer on Cascade. Have you been introduced to on Cascade before? Or Cascade, sorry. You haven't? Yes, no?
No, I don't think so.
Okay, you will be introduced to it now. All right, so now let's actually go back a little bit. Originally, we started with the Pokemon app. What app did we just add before this? We have the Pokemon app.
Move.
There you go, Move app. In settings PY, we started with the Pokemon app, right? In the first couple of API assignments. Now we're adding Move app. The example that we're covering now is which app? Which hasn't been added actually, but we're about
Trainer.
Trainer app. So there you go. We started with Pokemon app, right? Singular app, right? That's in charge of holding all the Pokemon, right? We just added the Move app that's in charge of holding all of the attacks for the Pokemon, and their relationship, right, is a many-to-many relationship. Now what we're about to cover is the Trainer app, right? That has a many-to-one relationship. The many are the Pokemon. The one is the trainer, because a trainer, right, can have many Pokemon. Yes? So if we're actually going through this code, before actually even creating that trainer class in that model, we'd add it here. Something like Trainer app. All right, so you add Trainer app. Now we start creating it down here. We start creating it. Boom. Let's just keep it very simple for right now. You create the Trainer app, and inside of the Pokemon, you're now going to import Trainer, right, as the foreign key that tells you it's a many-to-one relationship. And then you're going to add this right here. If you don't add it right away, you don't remember. I don't think it breaks it initially, right? But eventually it does, right? So this is a really important thing that you're actually going to have on a lot of many-to-one relationships. This is not just the Pokemon one. This actually applies to pretty much all of them, right? Just get into the habit of just adding on delete models.cascade. So deleting a trainer deletes their Pokemon too. Put your big brain hat on. I just gave you this example of Pokemon. Where do we see it in social media? This exact same thing. If you delete the user, it deletes their stuff.
Yeah, if you delete like your Instagram account, it deletes all your posts.
Somewhere in their Postgres database, Instagram has on delete models cascade for the user. That's where you see it. Does everyone understand that?
I have a question.
Yep.
Okay, so using that same example, if someone deactivates their account, how does that relate to this?
It depends how it's written.
Okay.
So when it deactivates their account, I'm going to use the Reddit example here, right? Because that's my favorite example. I can't find it right now, but I think I might have showed it in this class where if someone deactivates their account, all of their posts will not be deleted, but it'll say, hey, that user is no longer active. So I'll have a little block. And that's how Reddit decided to do it. Could they have deleted their posts? Absolutely. But Reddit said, no, this is part of our application, part of the ongoing conversation, right? You can't message that user anymore, and you don't even know what that user's name is anymore, but we're going to replace all of that with, hey, that user has been deleted or deactivated, right? And that's someone high up on Reddit made that decision, right? Because they could have easily done what other people do, what Instagram does, where you delete your account, it deletes them. Make sense?
Yes, thank you.
And here we can go into the rabbit hole a little bit deeper. Let's do Instagram. If you're not familiar with this, I apologize, but this is actually a really good example of the decisions that people are making at these big tech companies, right? It's possible to block people on Instagram. Everyone is aware of that, or other social media. It's possible to block them. Well, what happens when you block someone? Okay. When you block someone, then you are no longer visible to that person, and your posts are not visible to that person. But those posts are still visible to everybody else, and so are you. Right? So what's happening in the code base there, right? something like this. What the exact relationship is, I don't know, right? But that decision, it didn't come with whatever framework they're using, right? Someone at Instagram wrote that code, something along the lines of, if blocked, right? Hide user from this person and all their posts only. So there's a relationship there. And that comes when you create an Instagram profile, that comes with all the profiles, right? But it's only active, right, when you block someone. And can that person have more than one person blocked? Absolutely. So that has to be some kind of data structure, right? It has to be some kind of list or dictionary that adds people to that list. And if your username is on that person's blocked list, then it applies that functionality to all of them.
And it's the same with like blocked phone numbers as well.
I would think so, but I don't know. I don't know. So I'm going to answer. I don't know the answer to that question because I am going to answer it this way. The telecommunication system in this country is really archaic. It's like the banking system. How the hell it even works, I don't know. Right? It's lucky it does work. Right? It's written on like really old protocols that no one's ever bothered to upgrade. I don't even know how phones work. Right. New tech works the way that I told you because that makes sense to me. But those old network and like ATMs, how that works, I have no idea. I don't think anyone does, honestly. So I was surprised it hasn't broken yet, but it will at some point, is my guess. Sorry. That's the best answer I could give you, though. I know how WhatsApp works. It's just a cloud-based messaging CRUD app, right? Platform that actually works. Right. I won't get on my little soapbox about WhatsApp, but everyone in the world should use cloud-based platforms, right? They make sense. You know what doesn't make sense are text messaging. What happens if you lose your phone if you're just text messaging? You lose all your text messages, right? You drop your iPhone in the ocean, it breaks, but you never saved it to iCloud. What happens to all your pictures? You lose it all, right? But if all of it was always synced to the cloud, if you lose the device, do you lose your stuff? No.
No.
You just get a new device and you resync, right?
Yes. I love that feature, by the way.
Yeah. Anyway, so America's telecommunication system is really outdated. Why it works the way that it does, I don't know. Should it? Probably not. Okay. Sorry. Slight tangent, but great questions, right? So this on cascade is really important. This is just a very small feature within Django that's actually used quite often, right? And this is kind of like the common ground that a lot of tech companies take. Hey, if you do delete the profile, delete all of their messages. Some don't. I give you the Reddit example. Hey, keep it, but just say, hey, that user has been deactivated or deleted, and that's perfectly fine, right? But for us right now, if you delete the trainer, you want to delete the post too. Now, a super stretch exercise would be to do the Reddit thing, right? Could you create your own functionality saying, hey, if you delete the trainer, keep the Pokemon, or just list it a certain way? Yeah, you could, but that'd be probably outside your ability at the moment. But again, people at Reddit did it because they thought it was important for their platform. Make sense? Most of the time, you'll get this. Hey, if you delete the main user, just delete all their stuff. Super easy. So that's what this cascade thing means, right? And that's it. That's how you write it. Related name Pokemon lets us write to some trainer Pokemon all. Wild Pokemon have no trainer, right? Null true. And these are just some values that you want to write into your Pokemon class, right? Really not much to say there. Okay, so the two arguments that matter here are on delete. It tells Django what to do with Pokemon rows when their trainer rows are deleted, right? That's the cascade thing, right? What do we do with those rows? You delete them. Means delete them too. Related name, the other one, right? Names the reverse direction of the relationship. So you can start from the trainer and ask for their Pokemon, right? Super important. Related name Pokemon, right? If you say, hey, give me all the Pokemon of this specific trainer, right? That's how you identify them. So then you hit make migrations migrate, and you try both directions in your shell. So this is going to be an example of going both directions, many to one and one to many on this specific on these specific apps. So here, what do you notice about this import here? The one I have highlighted right there.
It's importing two of them.
It's importing two of them, and you can tell they're both in the same what?
In the same app.
It's the same file,
Yeah.
right? Notice we just wrote them here, right? You can import them in this manner if they're both coming from the same file, right? And you can tell both of these are classes, right? So now let's look at it. We gave a variable name of Gary, the trainer. You instantiate it with just a name. Is that what it is? Yeah, it says, hey, it just takes a name. Okay, cool. You can instantiate a trainer with just a name. I can look at the class right there and know that that's accurate. All right, so we create this trainer named Gary. We save it. And here we create a Pokemon named Rattata, level 3, captured true, and we give it a trainer name, Gary, and now we save Rattata, right? So we've effectively created a trainer, saved him, and then we've created a Pokemon that belongs to Gary and saved it, right? So forward, so if we go into Rattata, we go into trainer and we grab the name, it's going to say Gary. The reverse of it would be Gary, Pokemon all, it's going to give me all of his Pokemon, right? That's exactly what it's showing you there. Now, this is just in a shell, right? This is in a shell. You can do it in a shell. You can do it in like an index.py file, wherever you want to do it. You can run these commands, but it's just showing you the relationship in both directions, right? Here, it's showing you, hey, you can grab Rattatat's trainer's name, which is Gary, or you can just list all of Gary's Pokemon, right? Obviously, if you can't really just list one of his Pokemon because Gary and his Pokemon is a one-to-many, right? So it's obviously going to list all his Pokemon. If he happens to have just Rattata, it's just going to list Rattata. But if he happens to have 10 Pokemon, it's going to list all of them. Now, if you delete Gary, what's going to happen to all the Pokemon that he owns?
His Pokemons get deleted too.
Yeah, his Pokemon gets deleted. And here is just a check saying, hey, Pokemon objects filter by name Rattata, does it exist? Right? The answer is false. It doesn't. Here's a slightly a little bit of a tough question here. Let's look at this line. Is exists code that someone wrote, or is it built into Django? How would we check? That's my question. How would we check if exists? Because that's a function call right there. Is this built into Django, or did someone write this custom code? How would we check? I don't need you to know right now, but how would you check? Because this is being done in a separate file, separate shell. How would we check if this is built-in functionality or custom? Where do we start looking?
Pokemon file.
Yeah, why don't we go look at Pokemon? All right, this is the code, right? So we can just go Pokemon, models, Pokemon. This is what's being imported, right? It's being imported from Pokemon models. Let's look. Yeah, it's being imported from Pokemon models, right? And we got Pokemon. This is the Pokemon class. Okay. Cool. And it's saying Pokemon, objects filter name Rattata exists. We look at the class. What do we find out here? Look at what it's calling. It's going Pokemon, it's going objects. It's got a built-in functionality, filter by name, Rattata, and then it's checking it exists. Do you see that functionality in this class?
No, I don't see it.
So that tells you that it's what?
It's built in.
Built in. So this functionality exists. The only way to ever figure that out is to play with it and look at the docs. Right. That's not custom functionality. It's built into the framework. Right. And that's actually kind of like ultimately how you tell good devs from not so great devs. Right. Good devs will know intuitively what is possible with software and what isn't. And not so good devs or new devs won't. Right. That little thing that I just walked through, right? It's a good little test. Right. Someone like me would know, hey, yeah, that's built in. Right. But even if you didn't know that, just knowing how to check is actually really valid. Kind of knowing what you're looking at. Alrighty. So this example, just to wrap up, this example walks you through having multiple apps or multiple associations within your application. Having things like the Pokemon app that holds all your Pokemon. Having things like the Move app that holds all the moves. Having that third app, the Trainer app, right? Yes? And you could even, I don't know why my video is acting stupid. Give me a second. Just turn it back on. All right, here we go. Better. All right. Having those three apps and how they relate to each other is really important, right? So let's look at this last thing because I think this is actually really important. Notice that the foreign key is just a regular attribute. You assign it like Pokemon Trainer Gary and save. No add or remove methods needed. There are only those are only for many to many relationships, right? So remember, foreign key is really just a regular attribute, but it tells you something really, really important, right? It tells you it's that one to many relationship. I'm reading this right here. Give me a second. This is just a little warning, and I'll just give you this tip right now. Just use the shell when you're testing it. I'm a big fan of using the shell because it gets you comfortable with the shell, which you're going to need as a dev, right? And two, it kind of walks you through. It kind of actually hides the output, right? Like you're creating one thing at a time, so it allows you to think of exactly what the outcome is going to be, right? So definitely use your shell if you can. Alrighty. So any questions about associations? No questions. Okay, let's look at School API 4. If you did not complete School API 3, I would just pull this branch and get started on School API 4. Does that make sense? If you have an incomplete like API 2, just pull API 3. I checked the branch yesterday, so it should work. All right, so it is available. Make sense? All right, cool. So pick up School API 3 left off today and add 2 new apps, Class App and Grade App, and wire up the relationships. A student takes many classes and a class can have many students. A grade joins one student and one class with a numerical score, and you can include tests. Tests I'd wait till the end, right? But this is asking you to create 2 apps. How would you attack this problem? Are you going to create both classes of both apps at the same time?
One then the
No.
other.
There you go. See, that's the thing that the readmes never kind of explain. Like it says, hey, create these 2 things, and it does a good job of explaining the requirements of what needs to be done. But as a new programmer, I wouldn't tackle it like this at all. I would just create one app first and give it minimum viable functionality, walk through all of it to make sure it works, then add a little bit more functionality to a point it meets the requirements. And only after that is finished, I create the second app. Make sense? That's how you should be tackling this. And this goes into the requirements, but we'll bring the class back up before you guys get too far in this. So I'm not going to go over this much because I'm going to give you a little bit of time. Actually, I'm going to stop the recording here. I'm going to give you a little bit of time to work on this to get your. 1 second. Oh, that's not what I meant to do. Okay, you were tasked with. Oh, just blanked. School API 4, in which you were tasked with creating 2 new apps. But I told everyone, hey, just start with the class app. So let's start from there. So you went on break, you came back to your breakout rooms, you went into your specific branch, then you went something like Python manage PY, startup, start app, class underscore app. Yes? Everyone did that? Okay. You created that app, then you added that class app into your settings.py file. Yes? Haven't lost anyone there? Okay. After that, what was the next step? You could have tackled a couple different things, but what did you tackle next? Everyone here should know the answer to this question because it's very unique to what you did next. You were given like 50 minutes. What was the next step? There's a couple right answers here. What did you tackle next?
Creating the class course.
Okay, you went to creating the class. Awesome. Did anybody finish that by chance? Did anyone finish creating the class for class app?
Yes.
Okay, Alana finished. Sue, did you finish? Sue, can you share that class? I'd like to see. You finished it or you're in progress?
Guillermo, I finished that class.
Okay, sweet.
Yeah.
Yeah, share your class with me. Share it
Sure.
with the entire class.
Sure.
We're gonna look at our class and kind of step through it.
I will give you a heads up. I did the validator, so you'll see that in my course in the.
Okay, super important here. So did you do the class or did you do the validators first?
No, I did the class. I did the class.
Okay,
Well,
okay.
yeah, I did the class, so I can share a screen. I'm just trying to find my screen. Okay, hold on.
Okay. As she's finding her screen to share, that's the reason why I was asking that question. You could have gone straight to the validators or you could have gone to the class. Could you have created your class without creating the validators?
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. You actually don't have to validate anything. Like it's going to make your application kind of brittle, but initially you don't have to you don't have to write your validators. They don't have to be robust at all, right? You could actually just create your class without any validators first, make sure everything kind of works without breaking it, and then come back and backfill your validators. Can you do that?
Yeah.
Yeah, you could have easily done that. Okay, we're going to walk through Sue's class. Okay.
Okay. So I chose to go with course because we didn't want to conflict with class and built in
Yeah,
just
that's fine.
like that, like the README said.
Yep.
So we have the subject, models.chartfield, max length 255 unique so that no other course has the same name. And then obviously just the validator in here.
Uh-huh.
And then the professor is the same, right? So we have models.chartfield, max length of the characters, default. I don't know why I put that. It should have been Adam. And then the validators, the same here, that I'm looking at, this validator here.
Okay, perfect. Look at this class, everyone. This is a good way to start. Does she have any added functionality, any STR method or add student, drop student?
No.
No, but she actually doesn't need it to start off with. This is perfectly fine. If this is all you created and you kind of continued on, right? That's perfectly fine. Awesome. Keep going.
Where do you want me to go? That's the end of the class.
Okay, so you just created this. What would be your next step? Let's walk through that. What would be your next step from here? All right, show us your validators actually.
Sure.
She already has validators here. Okay, cool. Awesome. She has two validators that raise an error if they don't fit a certain pattern. This is perfectly fine. Could you create dummy validators here?
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. Hey, it's been validated, and then backfill later. Okay, so she created her validators, created her model, her class. Sweet. Go to her class. Go to your class.
Where was
Just
I?
models. Yeah. All right. And notice she doesn't have any added functionality. So I'm going to ask, where do we go from here? This is where you left off, right, Sue?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Okay. What are some possible routes that we could take here? You could
You
go
want
a
me to
couple of different
answer?
ways. Yeah, absolutely, Sue.
Maybe add a student here.
You could start adding functionality here. That's one route. Add student, drop student, kind of figure that out. Awesome. That's one way. What's a different route you could take here?
You
I
can
got
just.
one. Oh, no, go ahead, Sue.
Oh no, go ahead. Go ahead, Alana.
Go ahead,
I
Alana.
was gonna say, you could go ahead and do the copy the test file over, and then the one that's outside to put it inside of a student app, and then you could do your PowerShell and test it out and make sure it works, just the basics,
You could write
or
tests for it,
adding more.
or you could step through it, create a class, and see if all that works. You could
Yeah.
do either of those two. Those are possible paths forward. What else? What other direction could you go here?
You could also go into well, can you? Well, I would think you could go into the other app that you could have created and then just do one class for that one so that you could have something to test against.
Yeah, you could do that. Right. So I'm asking you, Sue, which way do you want to go?
I want to finish this one. I'll probably that's how my brain works. I just want to continue to work through here.
Okay. Let's walk through it with her then. All right. So which method are we going to add here?
You're asking me?
Yep.
Oh,
All right.
okay.
So Sue says, hey, my brain works. I want to add some functionality to this course. I want to add a student. So we know right off the bat that we're going to have what function?
You have to define add a student.
Yep.
Why is that not blue?
It's not remember, it's a method that belongs to the class. So it should be indented one.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah, my bad. Okay.
And just put parentheses, put self for right now. Alrighty. And we know, how are we going to identify a student? That's the next parameter here. Self, comma, how are we going to identify a student to add? By its,
Primary key?
yep, just do student primary key right there as the second parameter. Underscore
Like this?
PK. Yep, right here. Alrighty.
Okay.
And so this course is going to be able to add a student. So here, just make a comment, add student. Just make a comment, go like,
Just come.
what is it? The pound sign, I forget what it's
Yeah.
called. Yeah,
Add a
do add
student.
student. Okay, cool. And then you could just hit enter and write pass, so it doesn't give you a squiggly. All right, cool. We're gonna add this. What are we missing here? If we're gonna add a student to this course, we're missing one import. What is it?
Yeah, the student. It should be the student from the student app, right?
Yep, import your student at the top.
So do here
Yep,
from, I think it's student app, isn't it? Student app, import. Is it student, guys? It should be.
yep, student, capital S. And it would be student app dot models, right?
Oh, student app models. Okay.
No, student app dot from student app dot models.
From
On line
student.
4,
Oh,
student app dot
mhm.
models, import
model.
student. Yep, import
Import.
student.
Okay. Yeah.
All right, cool. So now we have the import, the student, right? That's coming in because we need to use it on line 13. So how does this function work? How would we write this? First, what's the first thing we need to do? Let's go after line
Right
14,
here?
press enter. Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's do this together. After line 14, hit enter. No, go to line 14. At the end of line 14, hit enter.
yeah.
Okay, here. Now think this out, ladies and gentlemen. We are in the course class. We have a function called def add student, right?
Mhm.
We imported that student class on line 4. What do we need to do first before we can add this student to the course? We need to go get that student
Yeah,
via
wouldn't we-
student primary key, right?
Yeah. Do we do something like from student here? Like from student model import oh, well, we already did that, but do we do student equals like the object like we did in the other one in the
Yep.
other file?
We're getting to that. So go ahead and define a variable called student equals, right? Now you imported that student class. So capital, there we go, student dot objects dot get. And this is built-in functionality of Django. You just need to remember this. It's object dot get.
Is it
Right,
object
correct.
or object?
Yep.
Yeah, it's
It's-
objects.
Yeah, student dot objects dot get parentheses, and you're gonna get the primary key PK equals student PK, which is what's going to be passed into this method, right? This had a student. Perfect. All right. So now the variable student has grabbed this student to add to this course. So hit enter after line 15. What's the next step? We just got this student via its primary key. So now we just add it to the course, add being the key word here. What's the code here? What's the syntax? That's what I meant. Sorry.
Do we do self
Yep.
dot students dot add or something like that?
You got it. That's it. Student spelled correctly on line 16.
Oop. Student.
No. Oh yeah.
Is it
Okay.
student?
Yeah,
Okay,
you're right. No, you're right. No, it's students. You're right. You're right.
It is students, yeah, okay.
Students. For whatever reason, when I was reading student, that looks like a typo to me, but no, that's It's right,
Yeah.
right? Sorry,
It
my
looks
spelling's
weird.
not too
Yeah.
good. Yeah. Now you can delete line 14, that comment, and you can delete line 17, that comment. All right, cool. Is everyone with us so far? All right, so we had to go get that student with its primary key, and then now we added it to students. On line 15, why is it self? Why is it self.students? Self is referencing what right there on line 15?
Right here. The parameter.
But no, on line 15. Self is referencing what here?
Is it the instance? Like when you instantiate
It's referencing what class? This is a little bit of review. The course. It's referencing the class itself.
okay, yeah, okay.
Right? So keep that in mind. Okay, so here's def add student, right? If I wanted to do drop a student,
It's almost
let's
the
work through
same.
that. Yeah, it's very similar. Let's add that functionality here.
You
Drop a
want me to-
student? Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. All right, but before we walk through this functionality of dropping a student here on line 17, remember, this is more than enough to test everything out. We could have done what Alana said earlier and stepped through it all via the terminal to see that, hey, we're creating the class properly and tested it that way, right? And then came back and added the functionality. Or we can just do it this way and then test later, right? But even right now, could we just test now? Could we make migrations, migrate, and then test with just add a student and then come back, then add, drop a student, make migrations, migrate, and then test again? We could do it either way, right? Okay, as long as you understand that, we're gonna go to drop student because it's very simple. So def drop a student. It's almost identical, student
Okay.
PKA, because we need to know what student we're dropping. You can even copy line 14 right on line 17, right? Because we need to grab the student, right?
Yeah.
And then the only thing different here is self.students what?
Oh.
Drop.
Yep.
Remove it, or well, do we say drop? Do we say remove, right?
It's remove.
Okay.
This you need to be familiar with the syntax. Someone said drop, and I'm like, yeah. And I'm like, wait, no, it's not drop, it's remove. But yeah.
All right.
All right. So that's pretty easy. Make a comment right here on line 20. We're not going to get to this, but on line 20 here,
Yeah.
right? We want to, and I'm going to leave this for everybody. So we haven't got this far, but let's think about this class. It's a course, right? That now you can create this course with the subject and a professor. That's all you need, right? Now, this course also has a functionality of adding and dropping a student, right? But to drop needs a little bit more functionality here. What happens to a student's grades if he drops the course?
They also go away.
They also go away. So just make a note right here. Just
Okay.
make a, it's going to be cascade, right? So on delete cascade, drop the student's grades. Just make a comment. We're not going to write it.
Okay.
But everyone understand that, right? That, hey, if this person dropped, then their whatever grades they had or they didn't have don't matter. They should be deleted, right?
Yeah.
Because teachers don't keep grades of students that drop their course, right? It's a moot point. All right. So here, ladies and gentlemen, at this point, Sue, I would actually test everything, right? Because you
Okay.
already added this class. You have a little bit of functionality. I would create this course class and then do add a student, drop a student test.
Okay.
Sound good?
Yeah. Thank you very much.
All right. Yep. You can stop sharing your screen, Sue. All right. So everyone should have done some version of that. Does that make sense? Yes? All right. Any questions that you have about the assignment or about what we covered? I have one question for you. A many-to-one relationship is also known as a what? Many-to-many is listed as many-to-many in the Django framework, but a many-to-one is known as a primary key. That's the only one that's weird. And it's the one that is weird because you typically identify objects by their primary key. It's a very unique identifier. So that's the only one that's weird. Everything else is pretty self-explanatory. Make sense? All right, cool. I'm going to stop the recording here. But I still gotta hold you a little bit. Coming back from lunch, just kind of check where everyone is at. The assignment asked for you to create two little apps. What was it? Class app and grade app. Did anybody get to grade app? No? Did we finish class app?
I was in the middle of working on it, and then I had some issues with my laptop being slow, but I just got it finished up, so I'm
Finished up class app or grade app?
the class app.
Okay, so you're moving on to grade app?
Yes.
Can you mind sharing your screen stuff and we can kind of walk through it on your screen? If you haven't gotten to grade app, that's okay. We're going to do a little pseudocode on Steph's code to kind of make sure that everyone kind of knows where you're headed after class app. We're not going to do it all for you. We're just going to kind of walk through it. Kind of similar to what we did earlier, but this time just with grade app. Grade app is a little bit more complicated for a specific reason I want to touch on now before you get to it. You're muted, Steph, if you're saying something.
Sorry, my screen keeps freezing.
No worries. If you can start sharing when you get a chance, that's fine. But if anyone else would like to share too, anybody want to start grade up? That can? Sue, Lorraine, Alana, Steve?
I can.
Go ahead, Alana. We'll walk through it here.
Okay.
There's just one thing that I want to kind of go over before anyone gets too deep into grade up. Alrighty. Oh, you're here too. You are in grade app. Okay. Let's look at Alana's code here. Notice she already created her grade app right there on the left. Now she's trying to write her class here on her models.py file. This is perfect. All right, so she created her grade app. Did she add her grade app to her settings.py file? Did you, Alana?
Yes.
Okay, she did that. Perfect. So now she's actually just on creating this grade app. All right, cool. Notice on line 5, she wanted to create a grade right there. Let's just pseudocode this. What is this going to include, Alana? Grade, or anyone else for that matter? You could just put, yeah, you could just put it in line with line 5. You should be able to put that.
We need a decimal.
Yeah, just pseudocode it, right? Decimal field, max digits, 3, whatever you want to put. That's enough. It doesn't even have to be, just in English is fine. Decimal field with max digits, maybe a default value. There you go. Sure. Sweet. That's one of them. What else you need here? Hit enter. You have a grade variable that's going to give you some kind of decimal field with some constraints. What's your next one?
I'm
This
reading the assignment.
Okay. You have the grade attribute. You have two more. A grade typically belongs to a what? This is where the relationship comes in.
There's test count on grades capping out below 1,000.
Okay, here, you don't have
Merit
to read
field
anything.
overflow.
Alana, you don't have to read anything, just think.
Oh,
So let's look at grade. I need everyone to do the same here, right? We created this grade app. Grade is just some decimal, okay? Up to 100, whatever. Easy, right? But the next two attributes here are really important because they define the relationship of grade with what other two elements? A grade belongs to a what? It belongs to two things.
a student and a
A
course.
student. There you go. Put student. So grade belongs to a student. And the student variable is going to be a many to one relationship, right? Because a student can have many grades. So right there, that should flag you that it's what?
Primary key.
Foreign key. Yeah, that's fine.
Foreign key.
Just right. There you go. Many to one foreign key. And that's enough for right now. Notice we're just pseudocoding it. It's not even particularly good pseudocode, but that's fine, right? And then the last thing is also a many to one relationship. It's if a student can have many grades, right, then a class can have
Many grades.
yeah, and many students. So this is also a many to one relationship. So here, just write a underscore class. Just give it a variable name. Like for line 5, you have grade. For line 6, you can have student. But right here, just write a class, not eight class, just a class. There you go. A class, right? This is another foreign key. This is another many to one relationship, and you can write it in here. And this class is all right, cool. All right, super important. Many to one. These are foreign keys. Perfect. All right, what's an important note that we want to make of those two foreign keys, the relationships for a class and a student? If we delete the class and we delete the student, what should happen to all their data, all their rows?
A many to many?
No, listen to my question. If I delete the class or I delete the student, what should happen to their grades?
Oh, the cascade feature.
Yes, make a note on Cascade. They should both have Cascade on line 6 and 7, just on their respective variable names, right? On line 6, just put must include Cascade or something. On line 6 and 7. Yeah, that's fine. All right, cool. So those are the attributes that we have on the grade class. Granted, we haven't flushed them all out, but we know they have 3. They have grade. This could be some kind of decimal field, and the two relationships, the two many to one relationships, which is going to be a class and then a student. Awesome. You're going to enter a couple of times, Alana, and then let's look at just one of its functionality. What function is going to be enclosed here within the grade class? It's going to be a what? Well, the only thing that grade does, what does it do?
Input grade?
It gives you a grade, right? So it should be letter grade, right? Def letter grade.
Okay, letter A through F.
Yeah. Def, give letter grade or just letter grade. You can call the function letter grade, right? It's going to take self as a parameter. It's going to take itself, but nothing else. Letter grade, parentheses, self on line 10. All right, and this right here is going to be pretty simple. The variable name is just going to be self grade, and it's going to check what?
What letter? Are are we gonna do like letter
But we're gonna do
compared to the
integers, just
decimal?
integers from like 1 to 100. Right. So what this is going to check is going to check if grade is just, let's say, higher and equal to 90, return an A. You know, if it's greater than 80, return a B or something like that. You could just write that number, right? Self-grade is going to give you an integer. So self-grade right there is an integer, right?
Oh, okay, I get you.
Greater or equal to 90, and then you could just return an A, and you can make that a conditional.
What?
You can just put if self-grade is greater than
Oh,
equal to
okay.
90, and then just return a string A or something.
Why are you doing that? If
You just copy that line 11, right? And to be greater than equal to 90, just return an A. Something like that. Obviously, clean up the syntax, but this is the right idea. Delete line 11, and you can just comment out line 12 and 13 for right now. But this is just the beginning of it, right? And then you just go down the line, and then it returns B, C, D, F. This is it. This is pretty much the grade class right here. Granted, pseudocode's not the best, but this is enough to kind of get you started. Does this make sense? Yes?
yes.
Sweet. Any questions about this so far? You can stop sharing, Alana. Thank you. That's all I wanted to show everyone. I just wanted to make sure that you don't miss the too many to one relationships there. I'm just gonna, before you guys go back to your groups, I just wanted to recap here with just this one question that you must understand. What's the hardest thing about what you're learning today? And yeah, actually just today. What's the one thing you need to understand? Everything else is actually pretty easy. There's one thing that's just confusing. What is it? It's the relationships, right? How does grade app relate to class app? How does student relate to both class app and grade app? Remember the lesson that we covered this morning? How does Pokemon app relate to Move app? How do both of those relate to Trainer app? Right? The basis of today's lesson is just associations. What does that really mean? It's just the relationship of your apps to each other. That's it. Is it many to many? Is it many to one? Is it one to many? What is it? That's the crux of the whole thing. The rest of this stuff is actually pretty easy, right? Just variable names, instantiating classes, and passing in the right arguments or parameters. Does that make sense? Alrighty. We just came back from lunch. It's 1:44. Right after this, we can jump back into your groups and continue that. Hopefully we'll have probably in the next hour or so, I'll probably bring up the day and just see how you ended up in your groups with the assignment. Anybody care to share where they left off for School API 4? Whether you finished or not, that's okay.
I can share.
Go ahead, Steph.
So this is my models.py in for the grade app. So this I did this, and this defines what a grade looks like. Kind of like a report card. Like I thought of it as like a report card entry, because it has like a student in a specific class gets a specific grade. I also did the the stretch goal for the letter grade. And if the student or the class gets deleted, the grade gets deleted too. Since obviously a grade with no student or class doesn't make any sense. So when I run it, I put the things here to make it a little easier. So Python manage.py shell, and that we'll put like 72 for the grade. And then this will display the letter grade. So the student got a C because they got a 72. And then exit. And then run the tests. And they all passed.
Sweet. Can you make your terminal a little smaller? I'm going to ask a question of the class, just looking at. Analyze this file right now. Everything here is actually right, except you're missing one thing on both of your foreign keys right here on line 14 and 15. Can anyone identify what's missing? You can't tell right away, but it will become an issue. It's missing something.
Is it the class class app that like class it should have been instead of just like class or student?
No, line 14 and 15 are accurate. That's why when she tested it, everything worked properly. There's one param she's missing. Notice it doesn't error out, but if you went to go look and see, which students got which grades, you wouldn't be able to do it because it's missing. Let's look at student on line 15. It's missing. You can do a comma right after cascade if you want. And you're missing what here? If I wanted to look at what grade students got, you wouldn't be able to look both ways because you're missing a what?
Oh, a name.
Yeah. What kind of name?
A related name.
Yep, you're missing related name. So go ahead and do related underscore name and just give it grades or something on student. And that's going to allow you to look both ways in the relationship here. Again, depending on the use case, it's very possible that this like quote unquote mistake never gets exposed if you don't use your app that way or you test it. But normally you would need this if it was like a pretty robust app. Same thing with class. There you go. That solves it. This is perfect. If you had anything like this works.
Awesome.
Anyone else? Anyone flush out class, the one that they want to show us? That was grades. Anybody flush out class? This is the first one we did. I'm actually just looking if anyone got that the drop a student, delete everything. Alana, I think that was you, right? I made you we wrote a little comment at the end that you were missing on
No, that
drop a
was
student.
me. That
Who
was
was
me.
that? Was that you, Sue? Did you get that?
Yeah.
Did you get that last line?
I did.
Can you share us and just
Yeah.
share it for everybody?
Yeah, of course.
So if you guys remember, Sue was showing her class as we were working through it. She had to drop a student, add a student, but drop a student missed one little thing after removing the student primary key. We just made a little
Did it stop
pseudocode note.
sharing?
It says it's sharing, but it's not
Oh.
sharing.
Huh.
There we go.
Can you see it now?
Yep, you got it. Oh, switch to the, there you go. right there on line 29. Oh, now I see,
Jesus, sorry.
no worries. Try it again.
It VS Code closed on me.
Oh, no worries. If anyone caught it, it was line 29. It was grade.objects filter, A class self,
Yeah.
student ID PK delete parentheses. Right. If you guys, it happened really fast, but it was right there on drop a student last line. Right. It's saying, hey, if you drop a student, clear all of its grades. There you go. Steph dropped it in the chat. Cool. Any questions about associations? No questions, that's okay. I will leave you with this question. It's just the overarching question for the entire class. What are Django associations? You had to define it. It's just what?
Relationships.
Relationships between your apps. The relationships, however you may define that relationship, many to one, one to many, many to many. It's just the relationships between your models, between your apps, right? Pokemon to Pokemon moves to Pokemon trainer, right? Or in this case, student to grade to class. If we wanted to add another app, let's do just the exercise right now as we wrap up. Let's do the exercise. Let's expand the assignment you were just working on. You created what two classes did you grade? Class and grade, right? Presumably you have a student as well. Okay, so you have a student, you have a class, you have a grade. What's the next progression here? If I said, hey, create another app for this assignment, what would be the next easy one? Next app you would add here?
School?
A school. Absolutely. There's many schools, right? There's many students to go to many different schools. Yes? All right. I tell you, okay, cool. You got school. Awesome. And believe it or not, ladies and gentlemen, this is somewhere in the old antiquated database that the school districts run, something very similar to what they have. Let's take it one more step. All right. We have students. We have classes. We have grades. We have schools. Let's go one more up. What is it? What's the natural progression here?
School district.
Districts?
Yeah, school districts. Right. And all of this sits at the state level somewhere, right? This code exists at every state in this country, some version of that, because they have to keep track of it, right? Because think about it. If you really think about how funding works in schools, it's based on property taxes in districts, right? That's how funding mainly works in the United States. Yes? The same student can't be enrolled in two districts simultaneously and increase funding for both of those two districts, right? That would be illegal. So there has to be a way to have a unique primary key identifier for all students, because you can't be simultaneously registered in two districts in the same state, because that affects funding. That's a real use case of what you're working on right now, right? Yes, you did a very simple example with grades and classes, right? But if you extrapolate out a little bit, not that far out, right, we see its use case in everyday life. Make sense? And where things like the unique identifier become critical to the workings of that database and that application, right? Because I just gave you a perfect example. Hey, the same student can't be enrolled in two districts simultaneously and affect funding for both of those districts, both of those schools, right? That would be illegal. And with these built-in libraries, right? Some people already wrote the code that you could use. You download it, right? You import it into your application, you use it properly, and bada bang, it's out of the box, you can use it, right? Just the use case. That's all I have for you. Have a wonderful weekend. Get some rest. These Saturday classes are long.
Have a good night, everyone.
Night, guys.